Hey, what's up, guys? Did you miss me? It's that time of the year again. Time to talk about the worst Funko Pops of 2023. Of course, not everybody's going to agree with me. This is just my opinion, and I'll give my reasons for picking each one when they come up. And I hope you give me your opinion of the worst Pops of 2023 in the comments below. Alright, let's get to it, starting at number 10. Look, I commend Funko for trying something new, instead of just doing a pink paint job again. But when I first saw this Princess Leia, I honestly thought it looked like blackface. I'm sorry, but it looks like blackface. Especially because her foil wrapper is all the way up to her neck, so it kind of looks like a dress. Like, look at this Jack Skellington. See how his foil wrapper is halfway down? So it registers as like chocolate a little faster? And I understand why they didn't do that with Princess Leia, because it kind of looks like he's taking his clothes off. So if you do that with Leia, it's going to look like she's topless. And I will say that in person, right, not these glams, in person it does kind of look like chocolate. Most of them anyway, but I think the Leia one is a little just weird. This glow-in-the-dark Aragorn that doesn't glow. The only thing that glows on this thing is a paper insert in the back, not the pop. It has this little piece on the bottom that looks like it should glow, but I have not seen any evidence of that. I can't find any pictures of that actually glowing, only the backdrop. And I think if Funko's gonna put glows in the dark on a box, something on the pop better glow in the dark. This Mary Poppins on one of the carousel horses, that's the size of a regular pop, in this gigantic ass box. Why did they do that? There's a very similar pop out already. Minnie Mouse on the Prince Charming Regal carousel. That's the same size, and it fits perfectly in a regular size box. It just baffles my mind when Funko makes decisions like this. It just makes no sense. Which one of these Gojo Pops seems the most boring to you? And which one looks like it's a con exclusive? If you pick this one, you're right. It's the most boring, and it's also a con exclusive. This isn't something new that Funko is doing. They've always used con stickers on some boring pops to try to get people to buy them, to try to get completionists to buy them. Like, if you're a fan of this series, why wouldn't you get the con release, right? But to me, it is the most boring. If you're a big fan of this property, maybe you can let me know why this one's the coolest. But to me, it's the lamest one, and they even reuse the body off of the common. The Jurassic Park breakout movie moment. The reason I put this on the list is because this is just one movie moment that they cut in half and sold separately, so they can charge you $60 instead of $30. Because even in these kind of build-a-scenes, or the ones where it's like 5 different pops that you can put together, they should be able to kind of stand on their own. And I don't think this Dr. Grant just standing by the Jeep, holding a flare, can be its own movie moment. Like, if the other half didn't exist, I don't think this would be an impressive movie moment. If they put this out, people would be like, where's the T-Rex, right? Because that's kind of the whole thing. I mean, Dr. Grant is cool, but you need the T-Rex in there. The T-Rex, I guess, could kind of stand on its own as a movie moment, but splitting them in half like this just seems like greediness by Funko, and that's what I don't like. The design isn't bad once you put them together, but then you have that seam in the middle where it would just look better if they would have made one big moment. This hologram Luke Skywalker that glows in the dark. Pretty cool, right? The Star Wars hologram pops are popular, they have nice glows on them, but then look at the finished product. Look at the lightsaber. I'm sorry, but that's a dong. That's a straight up dildo with like a suction cup on it. This whole line of Transformers Rise of the Beasts just looks ugly and cheap to me. They all seem like they were limited to like 3 colors, the way cheap toys are limited to only a few colors to save on cost. And they just don't look very accurate. Like, look at this, how do you say that? Arse? Look at the head on the Funko Pop and then look at the head on the actual character from the movie. The colors don't seem to match. It's lacking a lot of detail. And like, the design of the movie looks cool, but this pop just doesn't. It's ugly and it looks very cheap. And look at this turd. This diamond glitter Darth Vader. Doesn't make sense and is a perfect example of Funko just being creatively bankrupt. Of all the things they could have done, I think if you ask most Star Wars Funko Pop collectors, this is not what they wanted. A lot of the NFT pops look really nice, including this Ranger Slayer. I'm not putting it on here because it has a terrible design or anything. It's because the NFT pops are hard enough to get, right? You have to get lucky or you have to spend a lot of money. Then you have to get lucky again that they ship them to you without damage. And let's say you get lucky several times and you get this Ranger Slayer. And then Funko decides to put out a cooler version of it a few months later for PX previews, and you can get it for $15. That is ridiculous. Because the PX previews one is more detailed, it looks nicer. It looks a little different, so maybe one's from one season, one's from another. They're close enough to where, I guess unless you're a really hardcore Power Rangers fans, you can't even tell. But there are slight differences. But this is essentially the same pop. It's the same character. If I would have spent a bunch of money getting that NFT Ranger Slayer, and then this came out, I'd feel terrible. No, I'd feel stupid. I'd feel stupid for spending money on the NFT one. Alright, before I get to number one, let's talk about some dishonorable mentions. This Vlad Plasmius, which is also an NFT pop, has a gray streak in the middle of the hair on the glams. But the actual pop, Funko just left it off. I guess you can argue that if you look at the cartoons, it's like maybe a highlight and his hair is just all black and that's just kind of a highlight. So I can understand if Funko would have just made it all black, but they put a gray streak on the box. So to me, it looks like they forgot to either paint it or they forgot to remove it from the box. It's not that big a deal, I guess, but for an NFT pop that costs a lot of money and you have to get lucky for, they really need to pay a little bit more attention to the details. I think just reusing the Cyrax dragon body for Caraxes is a little lazy. They did do a new head, which is nice, but Caraxes has a super long neck. So they could have got away with using most of the body, but they should have added a longer neck to make it a little bit more accurate. Just seems a little lazy. And like Funko going, look, you're going to buy it anyway. Here's your dumb dragon. We know it's not accurate, and you're going to buy it anyway. And they're right. This Pokemon Center Pikachu, it cracked me up when it came out. Probably because I don't collect Pokemon, but it was like a mystery one. It was super hyped. Everyone was all excited. And then it comes out and it's just a reused Pikachu mold with a slight metallic sheen on it. I mean, it's still sold out, but I remember a lot of people just being like, that's it? A reused mold with a slightly metallic paint job on it? I thought that was kind of funny. All right, now on to number one. Quick, which Bo-Katan is a GameStop exclusive and which Bo-Katan is the chase? If you guessed left is the chase, you're right. And right is the GameStop exclusive. They came out months after the chase. I think this is even worse than the Pink Ranger one because these are nearly identical pops. At least the Pink Ranger had a few design elements that were different, but this is just one of her holding her guns out and one of them holding her guns down. This is nearly identical. And I think if I was looking at somebody's collection out of box and I saw either one of these pops, it wouldn't register in my brain like, oh, you got a chase there, because they look so similar. And another reason I put it at number one is because this chase was so overproduced. Bo-Katan pops were selling for dollars. Like you can buy a bunch of them, I want to say for like $3, because they just made so many. There's probably more of this chase than there are of a good number of commons from other series. And then they go and make another one for GameStop. I just don't understand the thought process here. A little bit of research from Funko would have told them that this chase wasn't selling for very much, so that means the demand isn't matching the supply. So why go and make another one? Just a very bizarre decision and a perfect example of I think one of Funko's major problems: overproducing, not being creative enough, and killing the value of their own product. Alright guys, that was my worst of Funko for 2023. Let me know what you guys think is the worst, especially if I left it off this list, and what you think is the best as well, because I'm working on that video. And I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Take care.